How do you install a 12-volt parking air conditioner? Today I'm installing the Sunster parking air conditioner, and we're going to install it on top of this truck. I'm going to provide you with a step-by-step install guide, so if you need a Sunster 12-volt parking air conditioner like this one, maybe for your caravan, your RV, your bus, your SUV, or your excavator, then you know how to install it. I'm also going to give you a discount in today's video. You're watching Taddy Digest. I'm Tad. Let's get started. When you order this air conditioner, this is the box that it arrives in. So you've got some styrofoam, you got some cardboard. This was the top, this was the bottom. Not very big. Now what comes in the package? We've got our outdoor piece that mounts on the roof. We've got our rubber sealing strip. We've got our remote controller. We've got our screw packages. We've got our display. This mounts right here on our indoor fascia panel, and it has our little air ducts, or our registers. We've got our brackets, 2 of them, and then we've got our air duct. And that is the contents of the package. Now, let's go ahead and begin the install by taking the cover off of this outdoor piece. I got my drill and my 5/16. It looks like there's 2 screws on the side. 1, 2, 2 screws on the front, 3, 4, and then 2 screws on the other side, 5, 6. So 6 total 5/16 screws. So now that we've got those out, we should be able to take the cover off. And now we can see we've got our outdoor coil and condenser fan, and we have got an indoor coil, and there should be another fan right here. These are where we can hook up, and I like how they labeled the caps so you know which is the high side and which is the low side. So we got our high side connection, our low side connection. Now what we want to do is we want to hook up our gauges, which I'm going to show you how, and we're going to go ahead and vacuum and charge this equipment. Got my gauges and the hoses and the connectors I need to connect everything. And these are my gauges I use for air conditioning, but I just purchased a couple adapters, right, to connect to this. So what are we going to do? We're going to take the red hose and the red connector, and we're going to connect it to the high side. Just like that. And that's connected. We're going to take the blue hose and the blue connector and connect to the low side port. Just like this. Now that we're connected, the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and vacuum. And the reason we're doing this right now, before we install it on top, is because it would be harder to lift up my vacuum pump and charge with refrigerant when it's already installed on top. So we're going to go ahead and do this so it's charged, and all we got to do is cut our hole, mount it, and hook it all up. We're going to take this to our 1/4 inch connection on our vacuum pump, and I'm using a Navac battery powered vacuum pump. Very convenient, not needing a extension cord. So let's go ahead and turn on the pump and make sure that we turn on our gauges. These are Navac gauges, super nice. We can tell we're not really pulling. Why? Because we need to run these in. See how it says 0? We need to say negative. So as I run this in and open this up, we're going to be pulling a vacuum. It's not going to take long. You can use a micron gauge if you want. That way you know the certain microns you're down to. Pull it down to 500 to 250, something like that. Or just leave your vacuum pump on here until the sound changes. So I'll show you that here in a moment. You can hear this right now. You can hear sounds like some bubbling. It's going to get quiet, and then when we close our manifold, there's going to be no sound change. That's one way to indicate that you pulled a good vacuum. Manual says 10 minutes. It might not take that long, or it may take longer. So let's pull a vacuum, then we're going to charge it with R134A, and we'll talk about how much here in a moment. Vacuum is done. It didn't even take 10 minutes. You can see we're pulled down into a vacuum below 0. Now if we turn this off, close our gauges, there's no sound change whatsoever. So we're going to go ahead and turn off our pump. And the next step is to charge. So you can actually use a different set of gauges that are specifically made for car air conditioners. Here's the gauge set right here, Sure built. And then you can go to O'Reilly's or AutoZone. You could probably purchase this set, and then you can purchase a can of R134A refrigerant. And you probably need at least a 16 or 17, 18 ounce can or a 20 ounce can to have enough refrigerant because it's 450 grams. Now I'm using a tank because of course I have an air conditioning company, so I have jugs of refrigerant. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect up my yellow hose to my tank like this. I'm going to go ahead and open it up because my gauge set is closed. Flip it over. I've got a set of Navax scales, which is super nice. Make sure I have this moved over where it's not touching anything else. And then we're going to set up our scales to read grams. So we're going to change our unit from ounces to grams. All right, now we're going to go ahead and bleed the air out. There goes the air. And we're going to zero out our scales. So we hit the clear. We need to clear it one more time. Tank's moving around. Now we're going to go ahead and charge. And I'm going to charge through the high side. I should be able to fit everything inside the condenser. So let's go ahead and clear it one more time. Clear it again. And then let's go ahead and open up our gauge set, the high side. So you can see the scales are going to start moving up. 45, 50, 60, 70, 95, 115, 180, 175. And it's going to keep moving up, and we're going to get to around 450, and then I'll show you in ounces what that is. So it looks like it's stopped taking refrigerant. I'm going to go ahead and open up the low side. We're going to see if we can get the rest in there. 250, 230, 260, there we go. Let's see what ends up going in. So I wasn't able to get any more than 245, which if we change the unit, we'll see that it's only about 8.5 ounces. So we're gonna have to charge this equipment up while it's running. So we're gonna go ahead and start the install and mounting, and then we'll come back. I'll go ahead and leave my gauges on, and then we'll finish charging and get it up to the 450 grams, or about 15, 16 ounces. We flip the unit over so we can see where our bolts are, and this is our little blower here, and this looks like our return. So return and supply, air sucks in here, air blows out here. So we need to make sure that we know exactly how big to cut this hole. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure on the outside of the bolts, and it looks like we're at about 16. So I'm going to go about 16.5, and then this way we're at about 8.5. I'm going to go about 9. So we're about, and honestly I could go 10. I should probably do that. I'm just going to go 10 by 17. That'll give me enough room. All right, I'm going to make sure you know exactly which way you're going to face this, and let's go ahead and get this hole marked out. Get a marker and a tape measure, figure out where you want it mounted. For me, I measured from the very back to about 29 inches, and I marked here, here, and here. Now get a straight edge. I'm just going to use this piece of styrofoam. And there we go. There's the back of the unit. Now, we know we need to go from here 10 inches. So, mark a mark here. Mark a mark here, and then mark a mark right here. And then take your straight edge, go up to this mark here. There's the front. And then this right here doesn't really have to be perfect because we got that gasket, but that should work. Now if we measure this, it should be 10 by 17. And it's way off. It's like 18. So I'm gonna make it to where it's 17. I'm gonna come in on each side a little bit, and then we're gonna go ahead and cut this hole. So I just had to come in and mark off this area right here. So I'm just gonna be cutting this little rectangle out right here. And this is going to be 17 by 10. All right, let's go ahead and get a drill bit and drill 4 holes, and then probably use maybe a sawzall, oscillating tool with a metal blade, or we could use a circular saw with a metal blade as well. Or you could use a jigsaw with a metal blade. Let's get this hole cut. Now I'm gonna drill in the 4 corners. Whoa, battery fell off. Whoopsies. And there's our 4th hole. Now let's cut it out. This is so thin, I'm actually cutting it with snips. Whew, there's our hole. Beautiful. Now you're going to take your rubber sealing strip, and we're going to take out these little pieces here, these little round pieces like this. And then there's a package with these little rubber pieces, and you're actually going to install those in the holes. All right, do that next. Now I'm going to take the rubber sealing strip, and I am going to cut it like so. And then I'm going to remove this piece here so that we can see that adhesive. Next step, of course, is I'm going to take and put this, whoop, oh my goodness, that is definitely sticky. We're going to put this around the hole. Man, that is very sticky. Very, very sticky. All right, I'm going to go ahead and cut this piece here. And this piece. And these will butt up together. Oh yeah, no. Okay. Like this. And then cut it right here. Nice. There, we got our gasket in place. It looks beautiful. I like it. Now, next step. Get some waterproof sealant, some silicone. Let's go ahead and go around the edges and be generous. Be generous with your silicone. And just like this, we're just sealing up around the perimeter. All right, I'm going to smooth that out, and then we're going to go ahead and set our outdoor unit in place. Before we set the outdoor unit in place, we need to use these little bolts with the rubber pieces and then the nuts. These are for self-leveling, so We're going to install one here, screw it in, and then get it where we want it and put the nut on the other side. One right here. I like that these are here. All right, I'll get these in place, put the nut on the other side, and we'll set it down. Now we got these pieces in. Now let's go ahead and set the unit in place. So, like that. Excellent. Next step is we're going to use these two metal black brackets to secure this outdoor unit to the top of this topper for this truck. And we're going to use these 4 nuts to secure these 2 brackets. We've got 4 other nuts that are used to secure the fascia panel to the 4 bolts that are attached to the outdoor piece. So I'm going to use my drill, my adapter for a socket, and this socket is, I think, 13 millimeter. So here's what we're going to do. Take the bracket, put it up here like so, and then we're going to take and attach our nut like this, and this, and then take our other bracket, attach it like this. There's our 4 nuts in place. Here we go. Oh yeah, now that outdoor unit is not going anywhere. I'm going to make sure I really pull it in. Now if you need to adjust those 4 bolts can actually be adjusted before you install those brackets. Now we're going to go ahead and attach the display. We got a few plugs. We've got this plug here. All right, this plug here. And then we've got an indoor sensor, indoor ambient sensor it looks like. Connect that. And then we've got a blue wire with a white Molex plug. Connect that here. Now we're going to install our air duct. You'll notice that on this side there are 2 notches, right? 1 notch here, 1 notch here. And this is going to fit like this. So we're going to install it like this right here. Boop. Now we'll use these 4 nuts to attach our indoor fascia panel or indoor panel to the bolts. So we are going to take and route the indoor display through here, and then we're going to install the duct. And you can see our bolts are coming through, so that's a good sign. Attach this nut here. Now we're going to install our display. So should be pretty easy. Just route the wires through. And like that. Whew, looks pretty good. Now we got to work on our power supply next, and then we're going to go ahead and turn this on and charge it. Now we need to connect the cable so that we can have power to this machine. Now one thing I want you to know is you do not need to run this off of your truck's starting battery, because that's going to leave you stranded. You're going to drain the battery, it's going to die. You need a separate battery, an auxiliary battery. And one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to run this separate battery that you install straight to the alternator. I'm going to have some type of 12-volt DC to DC charger. So what I'm going to do, what I'm thinking is I'm going to run this along the top, secure it, come down here because I've got enough room. See, I'll show you. I've got enough room to run this. And then I'm going to go up behind the driver's seat, and I've got a battery, a deep cycle battery 12 volt, 100 amp hour. And I'm going to connect to that battery. Now, before I do this, I'm actually going to talk to the driver of this vehicle and make sure that this is going to give them enough room. So for us to go ahead and test this equipment, I've got another battery, which I'll show you. I've got my EG4 400 amp hour 12 volt battery, and it's got about 28% charge, so I should have enough. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the battery breaker on. You can see the display just lit up. I've got the AAA batteries, 2 of them in the remote controller, so that's cool. Now I can turn the unit on by pushing the power button, and I can turn the temperature down, and I can adjust the mode. Check out how much current it is drawing right now. 45 amps. Battery's discharging. Let's go ahead and hook up our gauges and finish charging. It's on. I've got the gauges connected. Refrigerant on the scales. We added 250 grams, 8 ounces. We're going to add the rest. I've cleared everything out. Now let's go ahead and turn on the gauges. And 32 and 130. Let's go ahead and add. Stop it at about 200. There it is. There's the rest. And then if we change the unit, it's about 7 ounces, so 7 and 8. Okay, so it's about 15 ounces that you have to add. Very good. Now let's go ahead and check the gauges. You can see it's condensating. That's nice. Let's look at the pressures and see what they read. 33 and 140. 38 on the saturation, 106 on the saturation. Now let's go check the supply air temperature and see how cold that supply air temp is. All right, let's check the supply air temp. It's 80 degrees right here. So let's put this probe inside one of the supply vents. It went from 70s to 60s. Looks like it's about to go from 60s to the 50s, which is great. It blows cold air. It doesn't take long to get cold, so that's great. All right, I'm going to hold it here for a minute and see what it ends up landing on. It's still dropping. 50, 49. So yeah, if you need cold air, this 12 volt parking air conditioner can do it. Looks pretty good. I've got the power cable rolled up until I install that battery. Let me know if you want to see that video. Comment below. We just put the top back on, and this is nice. It cools really well. It's got a low profile design, so it doesn't really look bad on top of this topper of this truck. And because of you and your support, you're the reason that I was able to donate my labor and donate this parking air conditioner to the Benton County Animal Shelter. So because of your support, these animals are going to stay cool during transport. So that's what means the most. If you want a parking air conditioner like this one or the other air conditioners that are wall mount, go check out Sunster Direct and use discount code TADDY10 so you can get 10% off of your air conditioner. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe, and smash that bell, ding, so you know what I'm doing. If you learned something in today's video, let me know what it was that you learned. Questions can become content, but if you don't have a question, that's okay. Let me know who you are and let me know where you're from. You've been watching Taddy Digest. I'm Tad, and I'll keep you cool if you let me.